Were Leinster arrogant?
Yes.
Is Finn Smith a lion?
Yes.
Sam Prendergast?
Nope.
He's Ben Youngs. I'm Dan Cole.
This is For the Love of European Rugby, presented by JQ.
Yes, JQ are the official automotive partner of the Investec Champions Cup and EPCR Challenge Cup. And they're official partners of this podcast.
We've got to start with Northampton, Coley. They beat Leinster 37-34 in Dublin, European semi-final, away from home. Like 45,000, 47,000 fans there. No one thought they could do it. I didn't tip them to do it, nor did you. Like, wow.
Yeah, well, we'll get into it, but I said Northampton would be the underdog and play the underdog card, and, they did. However, this is coming out on Monday. We have a live show in Northampton on Monday, and not only have we got a great show lined up, we also have the man of the moment, Tommy Freeman, coming in. So, if it goes badly, we're just going to parade Tommy Freeman around for like 2 hours. There's going to be 300 people, 400 people there just cheering, and it's just going to be like Freemo, and then we're just going to parade him around.
The reception that Freemo's going to get on Monday night is going to be, and rightly so, mega.
Yeah, we just have to make sure he's confirmed in and he's not like tripled his fee, because now he is a superstar of the game, mate. We can't let him escape, all right?
He is, and he only does things by threes as well, so maybe we'll treble it. And he's a treble-R bastard. What I was going to say is, Coley, the scenes afterwards, like that feeling, obviously I am now very soon to retire, but that is what I'd miss. Like, going there and doing what they did, and then like the elation after, like being part of something that only that team, that group of players, staff, and everyone involved with Northampton really believed they could do it. And you go and achieve something like that. Like the scenes afterwards, the feeling in the change room would have been incredible.
Oh, yeah. I mean, to say you saw what it meant to them at the end of the game. I think probably also winning the game in that manner, literally defending your own goal line, backs against the wall for like 10 minutes. You got man in the sin bin. You sort of turn that final carry over and then play 2 or 3 pick and goes on your own goal line to clear the lines. Yeah, I think the manner in which because it came down to almost the final play of the game, it means even more. And I think, credit to Northampton, as we said, no one in the media, as they've said, like, no one in the media gave him a chance. But as a player, I think, like, this is where, I guess, rugby, the truth of where you are as a rugby player and what the outside noise is differ, because in that Northampton group, they will have watched Leinster, the coaches and analysts have watched Leinster, and on Monday morning, whatever it would have been, they'd installed a game plan, and Northampton would believe going to that game that they could beat Leinster. And yeah, they might need to bounce the ball here and there, but, whereas the outside world is saying, oh, it's going to be Leinster by 50, Leinster by 40, whatever. Like, when you're in those situations in a group, from Monday morning onwards, there's a game plan put in front of you, and you fully buy into it, and you fully believe. And at that point, the analyst is a lot deeper than what you do on, say, TV or everywhere else. So, as a squad, you fully believe into what you're going to bring, what you're going to do, and you exploit your weaknesses, sometimes that haven't been seen by the wider world. And with that, you go into the game believing you can win. And I'm sure, Northampton, after taking the lead, it just reinforces that belief, and they keep going, and they did the job.
They certainly did do the job, Coley, and they went after the blitz in terms of the shapes that they played and the way that they did it. Kick return, obviously the first try is, a lot of teams will try and have 3 or 4 down the 15-metre channel and try and trap you. So Leinster clear it. It goes down to the right-hand edge, Northampton's right edge, bounces in field. Finn Smith almost comes on the outside, sort of outside, quite far off the 15-metre line. And he goes on the outside of Van der Fleer, and he goes right into that seam where the middle chasers haven't caught up with the outside chasers. Like, it's perfectly timed line. Brilliant. And then what I love next is once he breaks the line, Coley, he essentially has Freeman on his outside, but James almost sits in between the space between him and Tommy Freeman. And it's a great decision by him. Keenan's in front of him, and then James Lowe is just sort of almost sitting in that space. So if he gave it, chance I'd get intercepted. He sort of pumps and then does like the most delicate, lovely grubber for Freemo to go and chase and get on the end of. Gibson Park comes across, Freemo picks it up, try, but just clever. Just partnerships in the backfield, catch it, get in field. Finn Smith from left to right, blindside, gets into that, and then the decision making once he's over and past the behind the defensive line was superb, and that kind of set the tone then, Coley. Fremo's other try again, such a clever strike. The way they went after the blitz defense again, they hit up the middle, they came around the corner, they then came back where the line out came from, so like a 21 pattern, hit up, come around the corner, come back, and that first pod of forwards that came around the corner the first time stay on the open, so they go hit up, same way, come back, and then they go back again where they just came from, and they run that shape that we've spoke about so often, hitting that forward who then pulls it out the back to 10 with a short runner, and they just pick him off. And Leinster had no defenders there. Like that is training park study on the computer. Sam Vesti, who I've got to praise. I'm amazed. Like for so long he has been creative and doing wonders down there. I'm amazed that no one's tried to snap him up. I'm sure they might have. Maybe just loves it there. I'm sure he does. But you can see the work that he does is consistent, Coley, the way they attack and the influence that he has. Great coach. Big shout out to Sam Vesti and all the coaching staff, because tactically, Saints were fantastic.
Yeah, they took their chances. This can be a bit random, but it actually reminded me of England-France in the Six Nations, whereas like Leinster were loose with the ball. I'd say they lost a lot of ball in contact, fairly flippant, and Saints, when they struck a couple of long-range tries, obviously through Freeman, and then they had the well work when they took their opportunities, when they had opportunities in the opposition half. A lot of the game was played ball in air, sort of probably trying to find territory, which I thought Saints, Finn Smith managed brilliantly with the kicking game. Leinster often try and pin you back with Prendergast and Lowe, pinning you in corners, but that really worked, and then didn't really work because Saints were positioned well and banged it back. And yeah, I just thought that Northampton have those game breakers in like Tommy Freeman, Pollock, those kind of guys that give them half an inch and they'll take a mile, and that's what they did, and they capitalised on their opportunities. Didn't have many, but when they did, they fully capitalised, and fair play to them at the end. They defended like anything. And to be honest, to Leinster's blitz, I didn't see it. There's only a couple of times where I thought they fully closed from the outside, and basically I think Langdon got tackled to try to get the offload away, got tackled. But Leinster didn't look as aggressive in that blitz as they did in the previous weeks against Glasgow and stuff. So whether that was because they were spooked by Northampton's attack and worried about giving them, or they sort of ball in play and stuff because sat their legs a bit, I don't know. But they didn't seem as aggressive coming off the line as hard as they did in previous weeks, so I was expecting them to.
Well, I think they were rattled, mate. I think they were absolutely rattled. And Saints came out and they played and they brought intensity, and what they brought was far beyond what Leinster expected. I don't think they gave them credit. I don't think they respected them enough. I think there was an air of arrogance about it. When you're putting guys like Andrew Porter on the bench, and it's no disrespect to Keane Healy, wonderful servant, been amazing, right? But Andrew Porter's the best loose head in Ireland, fact. And he's on a bench for a European semi-final. You then got Geordie Barrett, who you brought over from New Zealand, kept hold of him since the autumn. You've brought him on the base of one thing, is going to win Europe. Something that they haven't been able to do since 2017-18 season. That's why you're getting him. And you're benching him. Like, you've got R.G. Schneiman, one of the best second rows. Like, okay, he's starting, but why are you not starting those other guys? I just looked at it and I just thought they look shocked what Saints brought to them, Coley, and you're right. For Leinster's, for all their incredible players and talent, they weren't as oiled and as prolific as we've seen them before. Like you say about the blitz, Coley, about uncharacteristic errors. Even Gibson Park was a little bit off, and as soon that becomes infectious. But I think it comes from the mindset. I just honestly think they just did not expect that level of performance from Northampton, and it totally shell-shocked them. And then they're chasing a game that they never thought they'd ever have to chase.
Yeah, I think with the Porter, though, I think Andrew Porter, Keane Healy might have been carrying a knock, which is why Porter was on the bench, because I wouldn't be surprised if Keane Healy goes into that game potentially carrying a knock, and they play and just go as long as you can as possible, and then we'll bring on Porter, rather than starting Porter, bringing Keane Healy on at, say, 60 and then getting injured, and then, having to play Porter for 80. So that one's that's different, I would say, to the Geordie Barrett. I don't know, but I might suggest that's a bit different. But yeah, Geordie Barrett, I was surprised that he wasn't starting, and yeah, as you say, you've got two big players there that are there for Europe, and you don't play one of them, which is an interesting move by Leinster. Yeah,
it's a good point around Porter, actually, and Healy. To be fair, Coley, good knowledge. That could have potentially be it. We'll get a bit more onto Leinster in a little while. Let's go back to Northampton. We previewed it, Coley, as some Lions head-to-heads. So let's start with the back row, because Pollock scored a try, which I would say the only other back row that I can think that would be able to finish that is Ben Earl. The way that he hit that line, and the way, like, wingers don't take people on the outside like that. Top wingers don't. He just went through and he was so decisive, and he just rounded him, mate, like a world-class winger would. Like, I thought he, first 20 minutes, maybe took a while to get into it, but I thought after 20 minutes, he found his feet. He did that run. He scored that try. He then did a great chase on a box kick. Alex Mitchell put it on the money. He went and smoked someone, and he was then well into the game, mate. Jackals and getting involved. So I thought he grew into it after the first 20 minutes. But like that snippet of what he did, like I say, the only other back row that I can think of within the line selection that could finish that is Ben Earl.
I agree. I think attacking wise, he brings something that not too many other players in Britain, the world, can do. I would temper that with the fact that he potentially got run over on the Doris try, on the tap and go on the goal line, which as a back rower, you probably don't want your back rowers getting run over in that situation. But no one mentioned that on the commentary. Interesting. But yeah, I think, in terms of like the highs are so high that you can carry, you know what I mean, the old error or whatever it is, you can carry that in your team because you've got guys that work and do the graft. And if he's going to score from 50, then yeah, you find a way, you play him, don't you? And I say those explosive moments, he got a couple of turnovers. He was a nuisance around the breakdown. His head-to-head against Van der Fleer. We sort of talk. I think Van der Fleer played well. I think he had a couple of errors handling-wise, but he was probably more traditional 7, popping up in sort of channels, link play, jackling the ball, carrying. But say Pollock, just his ability to break a game like that line. As I say, there's probably 2 back rows in the world can do that, and he's one of them. And so that's puts your head. It changes the dynamics of the game. You go from literally playing around midfield to under the opposition's sticks or 7 points, whatever it was. It changes the game, and that's, you need kind of blokes like that. And that's, as say Northampton said earlier, they had their chances and they took them, and you take them because you've got brilliant players like him and Freeman.
He's given himself every opportunity. So let's see how that unfolds on Thursday. The back row is stacked with talent, but I thought once again he offers something that only Ben Earl can sort of offer in terms of that raw pace, the ability to move like a back, the ability to break the line and actually finish it. So the scrum halves, Coley, I was particularly looking forward to this battle between Mitchell and Gibson Park. I thought Alex Mitchell played particularly well once again. I thought he managed it very, very well. He looked busy. He's sniping, doing what he brings, mate. But the speed of ball is absolutely vital. And him and Gibson Park both brought it, to be fair. I was impressed. I think both those guys go. Then the Battle of the Tens, Coley.
There was one winner in the Battle of the Tens, and that was Finn Smith. I think he showed his class in the game with his counter-attacking, kick return, his kicking game, his defence. Like, he made several tackles, especially in the goal line areas. He played sort of the complete game, and Northampton, I don't think, had loads of possession, but the bits they had, he used smartly and put them in. They were always better off when the ball went through him in some regards, compared to Prendergast, who I think looked, defensively, I think he was targeted a bit, and I think, attacking-wise, there was a few errors and a few, not so much errors from knock-ons from him, but knock-ons from people around him, which kind of makes you think that, was he a bit edgy? I don't know. But yeah, I think Finn Smith, as we said on the pod, I mean, some people, I'm pretty sure, we did not like what we said, but Finn Smith, I think, is the better player. It's just whether they fit the systems, but I think after the weekend, the Leinster system didn't work, the Ireland system didn't work particularly well, so yeah, I think Finn Smith wins that battle, hands down in some regards.
Hey, Finn Smith, composure, nailed it. Tactical, brilliant. Temperament, fantastic. Like, for me, he absolutely, hands down, dominated that position. Like, dominated it. And I've said it before about Prendergast. Against France, for Ireland, he was on the back foot, and he looked like he had no idea how to try and manage that, how to get himself in the situation, how to grab the game by the scruff of the neck and figure it out. And I saw it again the weekend. He didn't know. He didn't have the answers. So, he's suddenly starting doing like counter-attack and shifting it when they're like, you're thinking like, you're still tight game, just get it back down there and play the territory. I thought he made some errors in terms of the back of the shape and everything like that. He just looked flustered. He didn't look like he knew how to drag Leinster back into the game. And I think where I look at Finn Smith, he just constantly looked composed. He looked so clear about what he was trying to do, how he was trying to manage the game, how he was getting other players into it. So for me, hands down, like if Finn Smith doesn't get selected on Thursday and Prendergast does, there's nothing I can do about that, Coley. But Finn Smith can generally look himself in the mirror and go, well, I gave it my best shot and I did everything I could to make that happen, because he was by far the better player.
It would be interesting to see the effect like Geordie Barrett would have had starting that game, because I've said before, I think Geordie Barrett, when he's played for New Zealand and he plays outside like Damien McKenzie and stuff, he's kind of like, he's a bit of a calming presence. I think he's like growing up in the room. Like, you know, sometimes I think New Zealand look to shift it and Barrett goes no and bangs it long, and you know what I mean, he's quite good at controlling the game. Whereas, I say, it'd be interesting to see whether, I'm not saying Ringrose and Henshaw don't do that, but they're a bit more, I don't think they're the same footballer as, say, Geordie Barrett is, so it'd be interesting to see how much, Prendergast relies upon, say, a Geordie Barrett to help him make those footballing decisions and when to counter-attack, when not to, and that kind of stuff. Just a side note.
Coley, when I think about the 10s, right, that are available, and you think of your Finn Russells, your Marcus Smiths, your Finn Smiths, your George Fords, you slot them in that Irish, in that Leinster team, and I say Irish because there is a huge amount of Irish influence in that team. You slot them in there, mate. Can you imagine how they orchestrate that? Can you imagine how good they look? Like, and that for me is enough. Like, you put Prendergast in some of those other teams that those guys play in, where they haven't got the luxury of a full international team, and he doesn't get anywhere near them. So I'm not here like saying, let me get this words right.
I think, like, yeah, I understand what you're saying. I think Prendergast is still a young man. He's his first proper season, probably, of international rugby,
yes,
etc. It doesn't mean that in next year, 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, 10 years, he's not going to be brilliant and potentially a superstar. But just at this stage of his development curve, you could say he's not where the other players are. And that's not a slight on him. That just proves how good the other players are.
What I'm trying to say, Coley, is he will be Ireland's 10 in 2027 when they go to Australia for the World Cup. He will, I'm sure, have a very strong chance of being a part of the Lions tour in the next 4 years. He will have a big part for Leinster for many, many years and have a great career. But what I am saying is, I've seen enough to suggest, in my opinion, that he is not ready yet for the tour that's now coming up. And I think others are in a better position, have played better, have been more consistent, and have shown enough for me in a team that isn't filled with international players that they are ahead of him at this point.
Just a thought, the last time the Lions toured Australia, 2013, there was a 21/22-year-old fly-half selected. I think Prendergast is 22. And the one selected in 2013 was Farrell. What do you think, why was he ready, say, and we're saying Prendergast isn't?
I think he was physically ready straight away, Owen. I think if you look at Prendergast and you look at where he falls short in some areas of the game, is the physical part of it, in terms of teams seem to be getting momentum around him, so he's falling off tackles, they're getting speed of ball in around him. Like Faz had the physical attributes at a young age, where I'm looking at Prendergast, I think he's still got some developing to do in that area physically and mentally in terms of D'ing up, because Northampton had a lot of pay out of him and it's been pretty consistent with defence. I'd also say with Owen, like, he was so clear about game management, how he wanted to play and dragging everyone with him. Like, it wasn't a case of I'm looking left and right, and you mentioned there about Prendergast and, you know, the influence that I'm sure Geordie Barrett would have on anyone. Like, anyone played outside him, he would have an influence. But the fact that you're so dependent on that outside players to help you, that wasn't Owen. He didn't need other people to help him manage the game and everything like that, because he knew how to do it. He'd experienced it at a young age. He played in big games. He'd had more minutes under his belt than Prendergast. He played in more international games at this stage, I'm sure. And he just had that bit about him, mate. Like, I think, if memory serves me correct, I think there's a clip, I think, where Paul O'Connell speaks about, you know, why is Owen Farrell the only guy barking at me, telling me to move position? Like, he was a winner, mate, straight away. And he dragged everyone with him, even at the age of 21, 22, whatever it was. I just think he just like looking, and I don't know Prendergast, I don't know him, but from what I've seen And if you're comparing that, there's a physical difference, but there's also the game management. I saw it against France and I brought it up, and I've seen it again at the weekend, mate, where it's like he's just playing in this system where decisions are all made for him, and you get out of the back of shape and you do this, and at this stage you do that. Like, there isn't this like, well, actually, no, that's not working right now. Saints are dominating us. We're chasing the game, and this is how the games needs to be won. And that for me just really stood out. He strikes me as someone that's maybe been told, in this area of the field you do this, in this shape you do that, and then you do this and you do that, rather than like, okay, that's fine. We have our patterns and our decision making and structured ways. However, within that framework, like, if there's things that need adapting and changing and grabbing hold of, that's what I'll do. And I'm not sure I've seen that.
On a slightly different note, talking about Geordie Barrett being an outlet, I feel remiss I didn't mention Fraser Dingwall playing outside of Finn Smith. We talk about Dingwall being the glue, being unfussy. Like, I think he again played exceptionally well against two international centres. Just his, say, tackling, just his ability to carry a ball. He runs into car crashes. He distributes nicely. Like, he just had again, he is I say Geordie Barrett's an outlet for, potentially an outlet for Prendergast. I think, Dingwall is maybe not in the same kicking way, but just as a sort of a link man is, credit to the weekend. He was brilliant again.
Coley, I'm so glad you've brought that up, right? Because I'm a big Fraser Dingwall fan. He was superb for England the back end of the two games in the Six Nations. He's a man that doesn't get the plaudits that he deserves, but he's so consistently good. And you talk about Lions bolters, and you talk about people that suddenly appear in a team sheet that maybe people haven't spoke about. There is one right there that you've brought up. Fraser Dingwall was superb at the weekend. He's so consistent in a position where centres, there isn't as much depth as you think. Now, there is someone that has a genuine, you talk about bolters, that is someone that just comes out of nowhere, because like, great coaches, they'll know his importance and the influence that he has for Northampton and had for England in the last two games, the Six Nations. He is someone that genuinely could be a little bolter that people just do not see coming.
I agree. I think his smartness, I think maybe he lacks sort of the physical outstanding presence of, say, being a giant ball carrier or the fastest bloke in the world. But in terms of just technical brilliance, I think he's smart enough that, he'd easily pick up the attacking shapes that, Farrell would play on the Lions, whatever it is, and he'd just slot in perfectly. So, I think as a bolter, he'd be definitely, after the weekend's performance, you would not be surprised to see him in that squad. Well, you'll be surprised, but in a good way.
Yes, in a good way, in a positive way. And I tell you what else, Coley, if you're picking your Lions team and you're picking your captain, and I tell you what, your second pick can't be too far off Tommy Freeman. This guy has been superb for the last two seasons, let's say. But the way he's so much quicker than what people think. He's a big piece of kit. He's strong. He's powerful. He can break tackles. He's got a hell of an engine. Like, just, again, make good decisions, good in the air. Like, you look at him versus Lowe and that sort of battle. And I thought Freemo was just awesome. He's continued his form. Like, he for me is an absolute dead cert. He's going.
I'd say he's going, and he should be starting tests. Like, I've said this before. I know people have panned me apparently in some of the comment sections about Clayton Freeman, but after the weekend, like, I think him and Lowe are slightly different players. I think Lowe's more of a, he uses his left boot, his kicking game a bit more, but he's still dangerous ball in hand. But Freeman, you need someone to chase kicks, get in aerial battles. It's him. Like, you watch him in the Six Nations, England struggled a lot in the aerial defensive battles, but Freeman was solid under the high ball, attacking and defensively. And like, you was talking about people that break the game up. Like, he scores 3 tries at the weekend, 2 from, I think he said afterwards that a couple of them were run-ins, but they took some finishing, and he has that ability to break, you say, and we've seen him in the Six Nations. He comes off his wing, looks for work. He's quite happy to carry into the traffic and just be another body, because he's a big bloke, another body to carry into the traffic and make yards and retain the ball and gets back to his wing. And I think he's in an incredibly rich vein of form, and he's a phenomenal athlete. And I think he would be, as you say, I think if you look on form players, if you're picking on form and talent, Freeman's in your testing.
Freemo's definitely going. I think Pollock's got a genuine chance. I think Finn Smith, like, on the back of how he's played, the 10 debate is fascinating, but that he couldn't have done any more. Alex Mitchell definitely goes. I think Fraser Dingwall's an outside shot, and Fremo, I agree, Coley, is 100% a test starter. He has to be. He carries on this form, mate. There's no way. There's no way he isn't.
Ben, we've had hundreds of YouTube comments, a lot about Leinster over our past couple of videos. One from Owen saying they rested too many players. Finn Smith has played a lot of rugby this year. The same can't be said for Prendergast. He needs to be starting every single Leinster game as a young gun. He seemed to step behind Smith, who has had to play week in, week out at Northampton. And then a comment from Bazcav on Instagram. The Leinster squad is too big. Saturday's team have played only 8 to 6 games together all year, and that has to be a problem.
Well, Baz, you say that they've only played 6 to 8 games, but they've also played, 4 autumn games and 5 Six Nations. They've also played 9 because you pretty much have the entire Irish team. So, yes, they have for club, but they all play together at Ireland as well. And this is the issue, I think, one of the issues. And me and you, Coley, have discussed it, is they're so used in Leinster colours just blowing everyone away that when they do get in a game, and we said it last year, I feel like I literally am repeating myself, 11 months on from the final last year, where they then get in a situation, a tight game where a team's like squeezing them and they just don't know how to handle it and they just don't know how to do it. And then in terms of the Owen comment and regarding Finn Smith, and the Prendergast and like the minutes played and everything like that, like the other thing as well with Finn Smith is you learn to play on the front foot, on the back foot, in wet weather, in tough conditions, in a pack going forward, on, tactically different, where they look like he has to play the same way every week, but doesn't play too often, and so often is on the front foot. So this is my point, is the times that I've seen him on the back foot, which was against France, he vanished, and then against Saints, where they came out the blocks and Leinster just didn't see it coming. He looked like a rabbit in headlights. So it's not his fault. It's just where he's at in his rugby career, and that's fine because he'll get there. There's no doubt about that. But I just think that ultimately the whole system and the whole thing is like on paper they've just got luxury, but they haven't won the Champions Cup since 2017-18, and they haven't won the URC I think for 3 years. So there's something fundamentally not working, yet they have a luxury of riches.
Or are we overvaluing the Leinster team and the Leinster system? Because, we sort of say they're expecting to win Europe, etc., etc. But if they're not doing it, does that mean that we maybe are placing too much? We're seeing them as too good in our eyes to where they are in reality. That'd be my only other thought off the top of my head in regards to that. And so they have reached 3 European finals, yes. How do you think it would have felt in the Leinster dressing room post-game?
Dark. Like, incredibly dark. They are geared up to go and win Europe. They've come very, very close for a number of years and they haven't got over the line. And you start looking around and you start thinking, like, how, why, when, what have we done this time? But they're well beat. Like, I can't credit Saints enough. Like, they went in Leinster's backyard, 45,000 Leinster fans there, what have you, and they won. And they did it tough, and that's the best thing as well. They won it hard. They won it bloody tough. So you come in and you're kind of shocked, I think, mate. And I think that's the thing. That's what shocked them, is that they generally underestimated Saints. I think the selection we've spoken about already on the pod early on. Like, I struggled to get my head around that. Like if you're bringing in Rico Ioane next season, which they are, you get to a semi-final and you bench him. What's the point of bringing him in? You don't really bring him in to play the URC because Leinster can pick their second and third team and they'll still be in the top 4 for the URC. They'll still be in the playoffs for it because they've got that much depth. So you're bringing them in to go and win Europe, and then you don't pick them. It astonishes me, to be honest with you, mate. So I think there's just going to be, you'd be shocked. You'd be sat in that change room going, oh my God, deja vu. What the hell has just happened? How have we done that? Yeah.
I think when you said they were well beaten, I think you have to remember the final minute of the game when they are basically picking and going to win the game. And I think there was a tactical element of, do they should they have taken 3? Should they kick to the corner? Their maul had been working really well, saying that they did score 2 tap play tries earlier in the game. So whether they got that end of the game wrong, the management of that wrong, which is interesting. Again, I don't know the autopsy of that, but you'd surely be asking questions about how he managed that final play of the game. For me, you almost want the kamikaze, just head down, get as close to the goal line as possible, get your hook. And normally teams do it, like Cowan Dickey's an expert at it. I think Bath did it with Tom Dunn stuff. It's just tap the ball and get as close to the goal line as possible, and you pick it and go to score. Whereas Leinster seem to shift the ball. Van der Flier shifts it sort of 10 metres inside, which allows Saints to get off a line, and you get hit on the 5 metre line and the ball gets turned over. So it was a bit of a, not say game management, but they were still, at the end of the game, Leinster had a chance to win it. And even with that ball that sort of, where Alex Coles gets yellow carded, and it sort of bounced off a post and they ground it or don't ground it, they had opportunities to win, but you would expect a Leinster team not to be in that situation. If you see what I mean, playing the last play of the game, even though it's a big game and it's a European semi-final at home, you'd not expect Leinster to be in that situation.
That's the thing, Coley. It's not, they weren't well beat. They were just beaten by the better team. Like, as in, you come in and you're like, they deserve. Like, if Northampton had lost at the end, you'd be like, Leinster, wow, you got away with that, because Saints deserved the way that they fought, the way that they orchestrated their tries, and how they all did it. That's the thing, isn't it?
But now, do we have to lower our expectations of Leinster, as this has happened for a couple of years now? That's my. What do you think, Ben?
I don't think you have to lower them, because Coley, we've been on the receiving end of an absolute spanking from Leinster a couple of times. They are ridiculous. And I think their expectation is always going to be that they should win it, because also they're signing some of the best players in the world. So their ambition, their view is they should be going to win it. Otherwise, they wouldn't be doing that. The luxury that they have in terms of squads, and even the great fan base, but they just, I don't think my expectations should lower. I just look at it but with every passing year, you just wonder whether they're gonna do it, because you look at certain opportunities that they've had. At some point, this Leinster block will change, because it always does. Eventually there'll be another Irish team that kind of overtakes them at some point. It's hard to see right now, but at some point it will. So therefore, you look at it and you think, will this go down as an amazing team on paper and everything like that? But just when it came to it, never quite delivered.
Interesting. We've got a YouTube comment from Bill Whitlingham, and he says, I see a lot of your viewers don't understand why Geordie, Barrett and Porter are on the bench. Educate your fans more.
Well, I think we've explained the Porter one. Coley had a good logic behind that. The Barrett one, I don't know. I honestly can't. As I said before, it's like we have Henry Pollock, our place, as our marquee player at Leicester, and it's like getting to a semi-final in the Prem and putting him on the bench.
Yeah, but my only thoughts would be, is you've got 3 international centres, and you are possibly expecting the game to be won in the final 20 minutes, especially with the empty in the bench. And having Geordie Barrett come on, then you hope that it tips the balance in your favour. Now, maybe that's arrogance from Leinster, thinking that, they're going to be, it's going to be tight or ahead with 20 minutes to go. But my thoughts are potentially you'd have Barrett comes on and in the pressure moments in the final 20 minutes of the game, he either steps up or does something for you, which I don't know why he couldn't do that from minute 1 to minute 80. Have him on the fight, have him on the field for 80 minutes, so he's in that final 20. Or maybe there's someone else. Maybe they just thought he would offer more off the bench than Henshaw and Ringrose. That's one option. I'm not in the Leinster camp, so I don't know. But they do have 3 international centres there. So, and I'm sure there is logic behind why they did it. I'm sure it wasn't just they're saving him for next week or something. There must have been something behind it, but we don't know.
I'll tell you what it might have been, is they might have gone, Henshaw, Ringrose, this is your last shot before Thursday, and Barrett was always going to start in the final. And it's bit them on the arse. And I tell you what else they could have done, Coley, is they could have brought off Prendergast and they could have put Barrett on at 10. That as well they could have done. So there has to be some questions asked of the coaching, and I'm sure they will go over it and through it because it's not, it's happened again. But the Barrett situation, I look at it. The only logic I can think of is they thought, right, give Henshaw and Ringrose, who are established centre partnership, played together loads, international, of course. Right, they'll have a crack. Barrett will start the final. These guys have a crack before Thursday, and then Barrett will come on and win the game, back into the game. If the game needs winning, because I generally think they just thought that turning up would be enough. And then on the back of it, you have to ask the question of coaches to say that why not putting Barrett on at 10? Because that, for me, that was the issue of like the game management and everything like that was well off. So, yeah, Bill, appreciate the question. I can't give you what exactly because we're not in camp, but that's how I see it. It's bizarre. It's honestly bizarre, but I think that's probably had an influence. Lions on Thursday. Barrett was going to start for the final. To start him two games at semi-final and final. I don't know if the Irish Rugby Union has some sort of influence. I'd be amazed if they did, but I've seen some comments suggesting they might, but that would be crazy. So, yeah, I think the coaches probably need a bit of reflection on some of the decisions. Coley, got to ask a question. Back into the game. I know you said about the tap and going on the 45 and getting close to the line rather than chucking big ball in there so someone can spot you. But you got RG Snyman in the row. Like, why would you not just kick to the corner as well? Like, the bloke's 7 feet tall, gonna win the line out. Chance of Saints going up and competing, very, very slim. Like, you could get every back to hit that maul as well.
Yeah, well, there is a question there. I would say the scrum's probably out the question just because the referee, there was free kicks left, right, centre, so it's not a lottery, but plus you got reserve benches on, so yeah, the alternative are you tap and go or you kick to the corner, and I think Cole's being yellow carded is sort of Saints' main line out option, and judging the fact that Leinster had got payout of them all earlier in the game, leading to the tap penalties and stuff, I was surprised they didn't kick for the corner. Yes, there's always a risk. You might not throw it straight. You might mess up the line out. But I think Leinster had mauled really well at that point. But at the same time, they have scored 2 tries off their tap plays. So, yeah, it is interesting thought process behind why they didn't go to the corner. I'll give you one more YouTube comment from Cam Calito. As a Leinster fan, it definitely was arrogance. I was confident this season, but as soon as I saw the team announcement Barrett on the bench, my heart sank, and I thought, this is really tempting fate to punish you. And it did. Barrett has been inspirational. Leaving him on the bench sends a message to all the other players we think about the final. It's one of the most insane selections I've ever witnessed. You sign a worldie precisely to get you over the line in big games. He plays amazingly for you, then you leave him on the bench.
I think, Cam, you've pretty much summed up what we've discussed. So, yeah, you see it the same as us. It's kind of mad. And, yeah, we've shared our thoughts. They're yours. And I agree, mate. It's an interesting one. And the debate and the autopsy of why and how it happened and what they could have done differently, I'm sure will go on for a long old time. Coley, we've got to talk about it. Good to see JQ. Adverts all over the TV coverage. It does look very spacious, I got to admit.
It is, Ben. And I think you'll notice one of those adverts, they have the panoramic sunroof wide open. I think you can kick a rugby ball for it. And, yeah, it just had me reflecting on the fact that on my test drive, the dealer, Big Sean Burns, was able to say, JQ, open the sunroof. And it did.
Big shout out to Sean Burns in Kettering. This week, actually, we got to drive to Northampton for our live show with Tommy Freeman. Then we're in Bath with Sam Underhill on Wednesday. Both of them got MOM, by the way. And then we're back in the studio on Thursday for Lions squad announcement. You thinking what I'm thinking?
Yes, Ben. We need a vehicle. And the JQ7 is equipped with a groundbreaking super hybrid system, which with a full tank of fuel and a full charge can do 745 miles of driving, which I'm thinking is Bath to Leicester is 145, so we'll say 290 round trip. Leicester to Northampton is going to be another 40 miles, so we'll say that's a sort of 80 to 90 round trip. So we say 290 plus 90. We might have to do a bit of a diversion for you to get some snacks. So we'll say that's 400 miles, mate. We're just over halfway.
Yeah, we've still got nearly half a tank left.
We could do it twice, mate.
We could actually do it twice. You're right. Like, that is phenomenal. And it's roomy and reliable, I'm guessing. And it offers plenty of space for passengers and luggage, which means we can pack, I don't know, a guitar for Underhill, perhaps.
That's right. It's actually got a 7-year, 100,000-mile warranty on the car, so if it goes wrong, they'll fix it. But anyway, yes, for now, until the end of the season, our European coverage is presented by JQ. If you want to check out the new JQ7 and find your nearest dealer, go to jq.co.uk.
Where's your nearest dealer, Coley?
Well, I'm actually in between. There's one in Leicester and one in Kettering, but I decided to go to one in Kettering because, and I was, I'm sure the people at JQ in Leicester are really nice, but they were lovely in Kettering.
Love that from JQ, the official automotive partners of the Investec Champions Cup and EPCR Challenge Cup. Northampton are going to play Bordeaux, Coley, in the Champions Cup final after Bordeaux beat Toulouse 35-18. It was a great game of rugby in what looked like an amazing atmosphere, crowd, warmth. It had a bit of everything. I loved it. It was very, very physical.
Certainly was. I've enjoyed this weekend's semi-finals. I think, previously I may have been a bit down in Europe, but I think really this weekend has got me properly excited for the finals. I thought Sunday's game, Bordeaux-Toulouse, just the crowd is pumping. Right? Like, it just literally, you want to be there. You want to go to a game. I have sat in the crowd at both Bordeaux and Toulouse this season, and they're just great atmospheres. And the game, well, it was brilliant. It was end to end. Early doors, I think Toulouse ultimately missed their superstars in Ramos, Dupont, and Malvaca at 9. Ramos at fullback and Malvaca, sharing the hooking duty with Marchand, I thought was brilliant. But yeah, Toulouse it was a contrast in styles. Like I said before, Bordeaux kind of have a lot more of kicking game. I think Bordeaux were able to get them in the sort of ringer a bit in regards to Toulouse, were either kicking the ball for field or trying to run it back, and then Bordeaux, Lucu and stuff, and Jalibert would put them back into it, back in their own half, and force Toulouse to play outside their own half. Bordeaux went hard at the breakdown at certain points, and it was a great game, cracking game. And you'd say LBB, he can finish a try. You talk about Freeman in one semi-final, LBB in the other belonged to him, and yeah, I loved the game. Mate,
his finish, his in and out, and his ability to get behind the line and his pure pace. So him and Freeman going head to head is worth the trip to Cardiff alone. Penno looks like he's probably hurt himself bad enough that I'm not sure he'll turn that around in time. But one thing, if you're Northampton Saints, is Bordeaux on the counter, any turnover, they just shift it. And the first try, Jalibert, mate, just gets on overs, show go, through he goes, offload, try. They are very, very efficient off turnovers and shifting it. It's great to see Bordeaux in the final, Coley, because they got humped in last year's top 14 final against Toulouse. We've played them this year, and they've got a great fan base, huge following, very, very good team, and I think it's going to be an awesome final, mate. I think it's been an awesome final because both teams like to play as well. So Toulouse is sort of obviously the offloading game, everything like that. The pack, mate. The scrum, they were going after it. But one thing in particular that stood out for me, Coley, is the breakdown. Oh my God. The physicality around the breakdown, the counter-rucking, the just pure bashing bodies. Like, the breakdown is going to be so important against Bordeaux. That, and obviously just turnovers and the way they shift it to their edges. But I don't know about you, mate, but watching the two French teams go at it today around the breakdown, it was like, wow.
Yeah, well, Jack Willis, obviously, Toulouse is a master jackler and he got a couple of penalties, but you sort of watch some of the collisions he's involved in. I think early doors, the Bordeaux 6 Diaby sort of levels him and ends up sort of conceding a penalty. But yeah, that breakdown. I mean, Lucu is getting over balls left, right, and centre. None of them are afraid to stick their head in, especially in the back line or in the pack. So yeah, that breakdown is going to be incredibly hotly contested, and it's going to be a fascinating game. I think Bordeaux, you can say, will bring the power, but Saints have got the ability to strike from anywhere, as do Bordeaux if there's loose kicking. So it's kind of like they're similar teams, but different in regards to, they're probably the forward packs. With Northampton and Bordeaux, the strength is probably the line out rather than the scrum. But you look at sort of, again, their Bordeaux's ability. I think Pete Samu was the 8, was outstanding from today. They scored one try, sort of created LBBs, or sort of put LBB away with a nice offload for the other. They can run it from anywhere. But the Bordeaux often they kick the ball a lot, but if you give them loose kicks, they come alive and punish you with people like LBB and Penno. So, yeah, I'm looking forward to the final. I love today's game. I think, Toulouse, we know they're giants of European rugby, but I think just playing in Bordeaux in front of a massive fan base and being shorn of the talent they had, they just struggled to fully get going. And, they're probably the bits where their superstars like Dupont take them over the top, whether it's around the breakdown or just carrying. They just lack that today. And when you're equally matched up against a team like Bordeaux, it's, credit to Bordeaux. They took the chances and they won.
Yeah, Toulouse still had some chances back end of the game just to go within a score, but didn't quite have that cutting edge that we're so used to seeing, Colin. Some of that's because of the personnel that wasn't out there. But I tell you what I did like seeing was the last Bordeaux trial, Ben Tamiafuna, mate. They looked like a little pick and go and tipped it to him on the outside from about a yard out. He then caught it. It was like an inch off the ground, all 150 kegs of him. And I just looked at it, I thought, like, how on earth are you meant to stop that? Like, there's literally nothing you can do. Like, you got a better chance of trying to hold up the ball with your feet. Like, hope that he goes in between your legs and you kind of just get your feet underneath the ball. That's your only hope.
Yeah, well, I remember Tamiafuna, we played at Welford Road. He played for Racing and it was snowing. And basically, Racing just passed him the ball from like 9 to him, 5 metres away. And 3 of us would hit him as hard as we could. And he'd just like fall forward. They'll either latch him or just fall forward and he get the gain line. So from like a yard out, again, going low, I don't know how you stop him.
Great to see 2 English teams in the final, Coley. Of course, the Champions Cup will face Northampton versus Bordeaux. That is going to be mega. But equally, Bath in the Challenge Cup final, as they are going to face Lyon, and only a short trip away for all those Bath fans. So I expect an awesome atmosphere for that one as well, because Lyon will travel well, I'm sure.
Well, that game's Friday night, so I would expect, to be a lot of Bath fans, a lot of loud, vocal Bath fans. But yeah, credit to them.
Great for the English game. Brilliant to see both of them in finals. Sam Underhill, of course, man of the match. He performed at the weekend. He's performing on stage on Wednesday at a live show and hoping for a Lions call on Thursday, because when you think about all the players we speak about and all the back rows, there's another one that, with his last shot to trying to put down a marker just before selection, absolutely took it. Again, like a forgotten man. Not a forgotten man, that's wrong. A world-class operator that's had a lot of injuries but just got himself fit just in time and puts in a performance like that to sort of say, look, I'm still here, because that position is so competitive. But Under's put himself in the mix again, I think.
He was thumping blokes in midfield. Yeah, again, a back row that can do everything. And I'm really looking forward to seeing him on Wednesday.
And as much as we've talked about all the games, to be fair, Coley, Lyon and Racing deserve about 40 seconds, because it wasn't great, but Lyon got the job done. And of course, they will be facing Bath. So an amazing, huge congratulations to Northampton Saints. Awesome to see you in the final. Now go and win the thing. And well done to Bath as well.